Bill Teegins.
Hi everybody, and welcome to the Eddie Sutton Show. Another good week for the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Victories over Nebraska, Colorado, and Coach, you're heading down the home stretch of the regular season, and boy, it's great to get some momentum going.
We are playing good basketball right now. Our game over Nebraska last Saturday, we shot the best that we shot all season, 63% from the field, and really jumped on them early, and we were able to just really have a good lead all the way. Now, we struggled a little bit up in Boulder the other evening in the first half. We didn't shoot it well. We seemed sluggish. Altitude will do that to you, and of course that was a third game in about a 5 or 6 day period, so I know the team was a little fatigued, but they did display some character in the second half, and we were able to win 73-56. So we're 8-3, 19-7, 3 conference games left, a couple of tough ones looming right ahead on the road. We go to Iowa State on Saturday, and then next Wednesday to Nebraska. And last evening, the Cornhuskers and the Cyclones had 2 big victories. Nebraska beat Kansas at home, and Iowa State went to Norman and beat the Sooners.
I was going to say, things don't get any easier when you're playing on the road. It's always tough, but the Cowboys are playing very well now, and we've got some great highlights to show you when we come back. Victories for the Oklahoma State Cowboys over both Nebraska and Colorado. We'll show you those in just a moment when the Eddie Sutton Show continues. And welcome back to the Eddie Sutton Show. Nebraska came to town to Gallagher-Iba. There's a new addition to the arena there. We want to take a look and show you. It's a statue of Mr. Iba.
Life-size statue, and it's down there in the area where there is a display of Mr. Iba. And anybody that comes to our last game with Colorado, or anytime you're in Gallagher-Iba, need to take a look at that. First basket of the ball game, we ran a tip play and a nice pass from Brooks Thompson to Bryant Reeves.
Well, you guys did a great job passing the basketball in that game. 27 assists.
Nice pass there from Brooks to Keani Roberts, and he took it home. Passing was much better. Shooting was much better. There's a reason for that. You executed your offense better than we have for a long time.
It's so important. You've talked about this all year. To get off to a good start, that's what you did against Nebraska.
Nice alley-oop pass to Bryant Reeves, and you can see I like that play.
I couldn't tell you were happy there, Coach.
We were able to get the ball into Bryant. They had a hard time covering him. Bryant had another big afternoon, 18 points. He got that in only 10 shots, and he also pulled down 12 rebounds, and he had 5 assists. His passing is getting better in every ball game, and that's really going to help us offensively.
There's Scott from the top of the circle.
Scott Sutton came in, and we had 21 points off the bench, and Scott had 8.
I know that's one of the things you've talked about too all year. You've got the guys like Brooks, Bryant, Randy, Fred who do the job, but boy, your bench coming in at the key times.
Well, our bench has done a good job in some areas, at the defensive end in particular, but we're starting to get more points at the offensive end, and that's really important as we get ready for postseason play.
There's Bryant with another rebound.
Good outlet pass. Fred Burley can run the floor, and most of the time he finishes the shot, and he did that. He completed the play. This is just before halftime.
Terry Collins.
Terry Collins, and Terry doesn't score a lot, but he did in this ball game. He had 4 points and also had 5 assists.
I was going to say, I thought Terry played very well. Here's Brooks going right to the hoop. That's great the way he can move the ball up and its way up.
Good hustle play there. When you can't get a basketball off the offensive board, well, if you can get a hand on it, kick it back out to the mid-court area, because normally we're going to have a guard out in that area to retrieve it. There's one of Bryant's assists. Defense sinks in, they collapse on him, kick it out to a perimeter shooter. Brooks Thompson knocked it home. This is a clever play. We're going to take another look at it. See, there's nobody guarding Brooks out of bounds, so he just throws it off the back side of the Nebraska player and goes in, retrieves it. Tries to shoot it, gets fouled, and hits both free throws.
He's done that several times this year.
Yeah, he's a clever basketball player. He's always alert.
One thing Country seems to have been doing a lot better over the last 3 or 4 games, or maybe weeks, is to either go to the hoop or kick it out in a hurry. He's not hesitating like he was earlier in the year.
Well, assistant coach has been working very hard with him on that. John Pelphrey and Sean and Coach Graham. He makes a quick play. It's more difficult, I think, for the defense to adjust, and sometimes he holds the ball in there and really allows them to double up and triple teaming. Good block by Bryant Reeves. That's another area of the game that he's improved. He's got a lot more blocked shots here in the last few ball games. He got 3 in this game. Great crowd.
It's great to be at home when you get that great support, isn't it?
Well, it certainly is. Our crowd, I didn't think was very. There's a pretty play right there, give and go, little 2-man play. I didn't think our crowd was very good in the non-conference games, but as we got into Big 8 play, they certainly have come alive. There's the last basket of the game. Jason Turk, a crowd favorite, the only walk-on, came in there with his arm ready to shoot that basketball, and he hit a 3.
He doesn't hesitate either, but that's great to get him in to see some action because he works as hard as anybody.
He works extremely hard, and that's what you look for in any player, but particularly in a walk-on, and he's very well respected by his teammates. And in that ball game, we beat the Cornhuskers 98-50, or 98-80. It won't be that easy, though, when we go to Lincoln next week.
Well, you didn't have much time to think about that one because it was right back onto the road going up to Colorado.
Well, we had played Kansas on Wednesday. We played Nebraska on Saturday. We traveled on Sunday. The only trip we've taken this year commercially in conference play. Normally we fly in private aircraft, but we went up to Boulder. And neither team played very well offensively in the first half. Now, it looked like we were going to get off to a good start because that's the first basket of the game. Nice follow shot by Pierce. Pierce probably played one of his best games. He had 8 points and I believe 6 rebounds. But we had a horrible evening shooting the basketball from the perimeter, which has been one of our strengths. We ran the floor well, and that was a nice assist on the part of Thompson off to Pierce. That guy right there can play, Donnie Boyce. He led their ball club in scoring, I believe, with 24 points.
Right. Country gets the bucket. It was a tough atmosphere. This was on national television, but the weather was bad and there weren't many people
Well, it's
there.
depressing going in there because it's the only place in the Big 8 when you're on the road that you're not playing before a full house. And, you know, I don't know what the answer is up at Colorado, and Joe Harrington certainly has worked hard at getting that program going, and they do have a decent basketball team. They're not that much difference between Colorado and Missouri, the team that's leading our league. But they just don't draw very well, and in this particular game, they only had 3,000 people. Of course, one of the reasons, it was a pretty good snowstorm going on outside, and I'm sure a lot of people stayed home and watched it on television. But the atmosphere between the not having a lot of enthusiasm on the part of fans, the altitude, playing the 3 games in 5 days, a lot of things went into this, and we just didn't play very well offensively in the first half. Weren't alert. There's a good example. We should have had that rebound, and we didn't. There's Brendan Manzer coming in and hitting the 3.
He did a great job. He's done wonderful off the bench the last couple of games.
We had 21 points off the bench in the Nebraska game, and in this particular contest with Colorado, I think we had 20. And there's Brooks Thompson hitting one of his 4 3-pointers, but he put it up a lot of times. Brooks just had a horrendous evening shooting the basketball. He was 4 out of 17, and that's one of the reasons why our team only shot 38% from the field.
I know he was going home before some of his home folks.
He had a lot of people there cheering for him. I don't think that I don't think he panicked or anything like that, but he just didn't shoot the ball well. And very poor defense there. We have a rule. There's a young Buffalo fan. We have a rule. When you got to take a man on the perimeter, you got to drive him to the outside, and we let Boyce go to the middle, and then nobody on the help side of the floor was able to assist. Great dunk. Good hustle play right there. Pierce went on the floor, Brooks went on the floor, kicked the ball back to Randy. Randy got the ball to Burley for a dunk.
So Brooks hit 4 threes. He really struggled, but boy, when you needed some baskets, he hit them.
Well, during this stretch, he hit a couple that we needed when we went on a 12-2 run, and I think this was the 5th 4-point play he's had this year, where you hit a 3-point shot and get fouled, and that's very unusual because every coach tells their players, don't foul a 3-point shot.
Nice pass, Roberts to Reeves there. Country gets the bucket. Colorado's a dangerous team with Boyce. You were able to get him fouled out late in the game, and Ted Allen as well.
Well, they have good talent, and the only 2 conference games they won, they beat Nebraska and Kansas State in Boulder, but they're certainly capable of beating people because in Boyce they've got one of the top players in the conference, and they've got some other guys like you mentioned, Dean and Allen, that are nice players. Great pass by Pierce, what you call go high-low, and it was against the zone, and it was just a nice assist.
There he is again.
There's a very alert play. When you see one of your teammates shoot the basketball and you're an assigned offensive rebounder, you got to go to the glass, and that's what Pierce did. Now, they double-teamed Brooks in the mid-court area there and strip him, and they get an easy basket late. But you can see they're still in the ball game. It's only a 7-point game with 2 minutes to go, and with the opportunity to shoot trays out there, those 3-point plays, you can catch up real fast.
You know, Randy really struggled from the floor, but from the free throw line again, he was great.
Well, that was one of the bright points of this ball game. We hit 22 out of 25 free throws, including 21 out of 24 in the second half. And when we get into postseason play, every game is going to be close. In fact, till the end of the regulation season, these next 3 games will be close. Free throw shooting is so important, and nationally, I don't think anybody understands, but nationally, it looks like free throw shooting continues to go down. I don't know whether young men just don't go out and work at it as hard as they used to. I know we do, and I think that's one of the reasons why maybe we are starting to shoot free throws better. This is the tail end of the game, and they keep trying to foul to catch up, and we do convert the free throws, and we win going away 73-56.
Well, it's a tough win. It wasn't probably as pretty as you would have liked, but any win is a good one at this point of the season, especially on the road.
You heard me say so many times I would rather look ugly and maybe not play well and win the ball game than to play a super game, which we've had teams do this year, and get beat.
You know, the high-tech world of video scouting has become such an important part of any program, and when we come back on the Eddie Sutton Show, we're going to take a look at how the Cowboys scout their opponents when the Eddie Sutton Show continues. Welcome back to the Eddie Sutton Show. You know, the high-tech world of video touches all of us on a daily basis. It's also been a vital part of college athletics. Here's Tom Dirato with this week's Off the Court feature.
It used to be called breaking down film. That steady clicking of a projector usually meant a heavy-duty scouting session was in progress. But those film canisters and projector lamps have long since gone out of style. Welcome to the high-tech world of the 90s. Welcome to the world of video. Randall Dickey is Eddie Sutton's administrative assistant. Among his many duties, Dickey is responsible for maintaining the extensive tape library located in the OSU basketball office.
We try to obtain in our own possession 60 to 80 tapes that we'll keep and use for our own use as far as video breakdowns, but we'll also through a routing service, get one tape from one school and then forward it on to another school.
I would think that the amount of games that are on television now, nationally, regionally, locally, and they are accessible, thank goodness, with the facility we have here on campus, that makes obtaining tapes that much easier.
Well, we're very fortunate in one of the few schools I think that has an advantage by having ETS on campus and having the ability to downlink certain games, even if we're here or not here or on campus or other games going on around the Big 8, whatever may take place. But it's an advantage for us to utilize that facility.
Assistant coach John Pelphrey, who not that long ago was the target of opponent scouting reports when he played at Kentucky, helps break down film when he's not on the court or on the road scouting.
I think you get more from the tape because you can go back, you can learn little tendencies that they do. And sometimes in a game, there's emotion, there's a crowd, maybe a bad call, there's a lot of distractions that may take you away from the action. And when you're watching on film, you're away from the court. You can see a lot more strategy involved. When you're scouting, most of the time you're right at press row and you don't get a good feel for the set that a team's trying to get into, and it's a little different, a lot better off of film.
I'm sure you're aware, I just became aware of the fact that on-site scouting will not be allowed next year, so you will definitely have to rely upon tape exchange.
Without question, it's a big part of it right now. It will more or less put everybody on an even keel and make it a lot easier to scout and to get off film. Like I said, film is this is the primary way to break a team down and to get a game plan and a good feel for what your opponent wants to do. Without film, we'd be in a bad state. So it's a good thing that that's the only way they're going to do it now.
It hasn't been that long ago when John Pelphrey was part and parcel of opponent scouting reports, and they watched tape of you Do you ever wonder now what those opponents might have said about Pelphrey when they saw him on the court?
It is kind of funny because when I'm breaking down scouting report, I'll say this guy's got great quickness and never leave him.
That was not your situation.
He's a dangerous three-point threat. I just wonder how many of those things they said about me. They probably said stuff like slow laterally, can sag off of him, give him a cushion.
Look back again to your days as a player. It appears that under Eddie Sutton, his basketball teams here at Oklahoma State, and I assume where in other jobs that he has had, his players watch a lot of tape.
Without question, like I said, I think any of the great programs do that. What we try to do here now, Tom, is with the NCAA rules having the 20-hour rule a week, instead of watching a whole game and getting to see 8 to 10 instances of things that we know that they're going to do to us and things that we need to do. Like with the game with Kansas we played the other night, we took the film, instead of watching the whole game, we took out 5 to 6 situations where we didn't rotate good on our weak side defense. So we pulled out, taped those onto another tape. So now instead of watching 40 minutes of film of a whole game, we watched 3 minutes, which cut down on not having to take away from our 20 hours. So it allows you to get out and practice more. So you have to edit tapes as opposed to, so you can save time because of the new rules.
And I would assume after a long, long day of breaking down tape, showing tape to players, that the first thing you do on the way home is stop by the local video store and check out another tape, right?
Without question. I drive right by a Blockbuster and get 3 or 4 films, and that's what me and my wife do. Actually, we hardly ever turn the TV on, you know, because it's usually late, and I've stared at the TV all day, and it's really nice and refreshing to go home and look at a pretty face. So that's what we do most of the time.
Filming of games is so important in preparation for your next opponent, and my staff has done a super job. And it's one way, Bill, that we really do a lot of teaching with our players. We had Bryant Reeves up there just before I came over, showing him some things that he needed to work on. And sometimes if a player can get a mental picture of what you're trying to teach him, then it's easier to go out on the court and say, hey, this is what we're talking about. So we probably utilize film about as well as anyone. It's very important if we're going to be successful.
The world of videotape, it's touched everybody. And when we come back, we're going to take a look ahead to another busy week for the Cowboys because Iowa State and Nebraska are coming up. We'll look at those teams and some other Big 8 news when the Eddie Sutton Show continues. And welcome back to the Eddie Sutton Show. Again, another busy week for the Cowboys coming up with Iowa State and Nebraska. But we take a look at the Big 8 standings, Coach, and the Cowboys in pretty good shape. They're at 8-3 in second place.
Well, we can cinch second place if we win out, of course, but that's not going to be easy. But you can see all those teams at this point, every game's important. You're jockeying for who you're going to play in the Big 8 tournament, but you got teams in there that are also jockeying to try to get in the NCAA field as an at-large team if they don't win the postseason tourney in Kansas City. Missouri, Kansas, and our ball club, I think, are pretty much assured they're going to be in the big dance. But you got Nebraska, Oklahoma, and Kansas State, 3 teams that are probably on the bubble at this point. So the games are very, very important to those teams as well. And we got games coming up this week. We mentioned our ball game Saturday up at Iowa State. Colorado's at Kansas. Oklahoma's at Missouri, K-State's at Nebraska. All big games. Wednesday, we travel to Lincoln. Missouri is at Kansas State. And Oklahoma travels to Boulder to play the Buffaloes.
Let me ask you about Iowa State quickly. The Cowboys have played the Cyclones once. This is a ball club that obviously without Lauren Meyer isn't the same, but they're playing some pretty good basketball right now.
I think Johnny Orr and his staff have done an outstanding job in getting those young players to blend in with 2 of the best players we have in the conference, in Hoiberg and Mikalik. Those guys are both averaging about 20 points, and Meyer was also before he was injured. But their win the other night down in Norman was very impressive. When you go down there, I think that Johnny Orr had never beaten the Sooners down there. So, and they had Missouri on the ropes earlier in the week up at Ames, and Missouri had to go overtime to beat him. So, tough game up there, but he's got them playing well, and our team's going to have to play every bit as well as we did last Saturday against Nebraska.
And then you have to go to Nebraska again. Danny Nee's club with a big, huge win last night.
I could not believe they jumped out on Kansas 58-34. It ended up being a much closer game, but when they're shooting the ball well, they're a terrific ball club.
Well, again, it's a busy week for the Cowboys. Coach, good luck. We'll talk to you next week. And for Eddie Sutton, I'm Bill Teegins. See you next week on The Eddie Sutton Show.